It's the darkest day in all of human history. Today is Friday of the Passion Week, and it is called Good Friday. And by the title, you could probably guess why, in that the sins of the entire world were ransomed in one day. But it's also really bad that at the same time, the very worst of sin in all of human history was committed on the very same day. If I could go and rename this day, I would call it Bad Good Friday. Today, one death will be the very best and the very worst death of all the human deaths. Never before in one single moment has more been gained and lost. In the mid-afternoon, an eerie darkness has befallen everyone, and everyone's on edge, but the darkness for Jesus has been something that he has never felt before. And I think it is this, so much more than the crucifixion and the excruciating pain, is what causes him to sweat blood in the garden. Today's reading is from Mark chapter 15, verses 1 through 47. And the question I want you to ask as you read is, what was the real forsaking that Jesus cried out? Jesus was forsaken by the crowds, his friends, and yes, even his disciples. But the real forsaking that Jesus cries out was that by God himself. You see, Jesus did not merely feel forsaken, he was forsaken. There were a lot of loud things in that moment. The jeers from the crowd, the taunting from the demons, the throbbing from the pain. But when Jesus cries out, in one sense, God the Father had closed his ears. This time there was no countering voice, no word from heaven, no dove, no angel. Even in Jesus' anguishing cry in Aramaic, he doesn't use the greatest of Aramaic words, Abba, which means Father. Abba is not there, only El is there. El, who is God Almighty, God All-Holy, and now Jesus stands before El. Not as his beloved or his blessed, but as the sin of the world. Not in some vague relation to sinners, but as very one of them. As it says in 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 21, that at this moment Jesus is sin. Condemned to bear its curse, he must bear it in full until the ransom is paid in full. Jesus is at the point where no one has ever been, since or before that one moment in space and time that all sin deserved its curse. And the wrath of the Father is blasting Jesus in full force, and he is no longer the blessed. In fact, as in Galatians it says, he is the cursed. Then suddenly, it's over. The sacrifice is complete, the curtain torn in two, and the way into the holiest is opened once and for all. And Jesus' joy of expression is found in the greatest of Aramaic of words, Abba, which it says in Luke 23, verse 46. We read, we see, and we hear that the cup is drained and the curse is exhausted by the very best and the very worst of deaths. I hope you see what the Roman centurion saw, and I hope you say what the Roman centurion said, as it says in verse 39, that Jesus is the Son of God.